Lim about to make his 6th appearance and start of the season. A 2-2 record and a 3.86 ERA. 23 in the third innings pitched, 19 hits, 10 runs, all earned, 30 strikeouts versus 7 walks. Opposing batters hitting .216 against the youngster, who has thrown 1 wild pitch and has hit 4 batters so far this season. The head coach, of course, of Stanford Baseball is the Clark and Elizabeth Nelson Director of Baseball, the one and only David Esker.
Well, it's a lovely day out here, Sunken Diamond, Klein Fields. And you have to imagine this team that's only won 1 out of their last 5 in the Cardinal, wanting to establish things early on. Now, obviously, yesterday, a great pitcher's duel that we saw, but they probably want to get the bats going and see if they can do that early on. And, of course, a good way to proceed that would be by getting things going quickly on the pitching and defense side of things here in the top half of the first.
Yeah, 7 base hits for Stanford yesterday. All 7 of them were singles, had chances, had a couple of base runners on late in the game, but could not convert and push across either the game tying or the go-ahead runs in either of those situations. And especially with a young team like the Stanford squad is, got to execute the fundamentals. Pitching and defense will be paramount for the Cardinal for much of this season.
I don't know about you, but I am very excited for the future of Malcolm Moore, and I'm excited to see what he does today. Obviously, a lot of hype around him, and understandably so. We've seen what he's done already in his young career. Golden Spikes Award watch list entering this 2024 season, and watching his game develop is one of the things I think all Stanford fans should be excited about.
And Malcolm Moore, by the way, in a new role today. More on that in a moment. Sun breaking out here with puffy cotton clouds hovering above Sunken Diamond. Should stay dry here this afternoon. That was not the case yesterday. 57 degrees. Wind swirling around from right to left and at times blowing out to center as well. But a perfect day here at Sunken Diamond. It's always perfect here at Sunken.
It really is.
Tate Gillen leading off for the Blue Jays. Christian Lim rears back, rocks and deals, and away we go. Cardinal and the Blue Jays. Enjoy the game, everybody. First pitch thrown at 1:06, so we're a minute behind schedule. That's okay. I think we'll make up for it.
You can blame me for it.
Gillen, the sophomore from Overland Park, Kansas. Fastball catches the upper portion of the strike zone for a 1-1 count. Gillen slashing .338, .494, .471 with 1 home run and 19 driven in. Has walked the team high 19 times, breaking ball low and away. The count to Gillen goes to 2-1.
He was limited by injuries last year, appearing in 34 contests, and I think that they've been seeing more out of him, obviously, this year in the leadoff spot.
Went 0 for 3 yesterday in the series opener. 2 balls and 1 strike. Lim the lefty, deals, floater, misses upstairs. 3 balls and 1 strike. Yesterday was the series opener. It's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Finals week on the farm this week. So Creighton gracious enough to push this to a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. The 3-1 on the way from Lim. High strike called once again from home plate umpire Daryl Mason. Mike Lusky at first, Jason Benson at second, and Angel Campos at third. Count full. Lim deals. Got him looking. Called strike 3.
Well, that's a good start for Lim. A little bit of drama there on the called strike 3, but they'll take it, and it's a good start for him. Early momentum is what you're looking for from the starting pitcher. Hopefully that's not bad, even though it did take a few more pitches maybe than he wanted, but it's something that he can build off of.
Brings up Teddy Dieters.
It's a good name.
Not bad. A junior from Orono, Minnesota, west of Minneapolis. Swings and misses at the breaking ball here from Lim for strike 1. Teddy's got to stick together, I guess. Dieters slashing .294, .430, .529, 3 home runs and 19 RBI. 1 for 4 with a run scored yesterday as Lim tries inside and misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dieters a transfer from Xavier. Hit .316 for the Musketeers last year with a couple home runs. Might have been thinking about one of those home runs with that swing crossed up on the off-speeder 1-2.
Yeah, already Lim looking much more comfortable in this at bat than he was in the first. It's all about finding that rhythm early on in a start.
Lim exhales and now deals the 1-2 pitch. Misses high, 2-2. Lim last week against USC got the start and the win. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run it was earned, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The 2-2 from Lim. And Dieter's just in front of it. Fouls it off. Count stays at 2-2. In his last 3 starts entering today, Lim, a 2-0 record and a 1.55 ERA. He struck out 22 and walked 4 in that span. 2-2 from Lim to Dieters. And that one is roped into the visitors' bullpen. Down the left field line, count stays at 2-2.
Well, he's not falling behind, which earlier in the season was something we saw a little bit more consistently. But, again, just finding that rhythm early on here as he's looking at a 2-2 count.
Dieter's ready. So is Lim. Fly ball to right. Reynolds drifting back. Kisses off the left side of his glove. And Dieter's hustling all the way over to third. And he's in. The triple by Dieters. And shades of how this game began yesterday, as well as Nolan Sailors, whom we're about to see come up to the plate. Hit a ball to center yesterday that Ethan Hott had a little trouble judging in center. Here today, Reynolds unable to correctly judge a fly ball to right by Dieters.
Yeah, that was a good bit of hitting there by Dieters. I don't even think he had to slide in, but he gets his uniform dirty early on in this one. But he could have come in comfortably standing up at third, but that immediately puts the pressure on Lim here, who has the runner at third and only 1 out.
Nolan Sailors, a junior from Omaha, has been magnificent. Breaking ball misses perhaps a bit low from Lim for ball 1. Sailor slashing 362, 489, 710 batting average and slugging percentage, leading the Blue Jays. Also leads Creighton in at bats, hits, triples, tied for the lead in home runs and doubles. He looks at the fastball on the outside corner here, evens out the count 1 apiece. And Sailors with 2 big base knocks yesterday. 3 for 4 with 2 driven in overall. RBI triple and RBI double. Bounces, blocked by Moore.
Good block there by Moore. All the more critical with the runner at third.
And all the more critical with all the room behind home plate. Here at Sunken Diamond, plenty of foul room, plenty of room behind the plate. 2-1. Moore blocks it again. 3-1 the count to Sailors. Sailors had a 12-game hit streak early last year. In his sophomore season. Awaiting the 3-1 from Lim. Misses high. Ball 4.
It'll be interesting to see how Lim responds here. Now runners at the corners, only 1 down. And I don't know if they saw something they specifically wanted to go away from, or if there was a little bit of an issue with the command there, as we saw Moore having to move twice on consecutive pitches that were outside and a little bit in the dirt. So I'll be interested to see what his command looks like on this at bat.
As he faces Colby Canales, a senior from Orange, California, transferred from Pacific. Runners at the corners and 1 out. Top first, just underway. Moore setting up on the outside of the plate as Lim throws back over to first. Canales slashing 324, 452, 706, tied for the team lead in home runs with 4. Has also driven in 13 along the way. Hit a grand slam against the University of San Francisco Dons last weekend. Breaking ball, misses low, ball 1 to Canales. He went 1 for 3 with an RBI last year. One ball, no strikes. game's over at first with Teddy Dieters dancing around at third. Gust of wind kicking up here as Lim throws back over to first once again. Sailors, among his other accolades statistically so far this year, also leads Creighton in stolen bases, 10 for 10. He's at first. And now throw over to third. That was close. And maybe not close in the sense of perhaps getting him out at third, but close as far as proximity to Dieters.
Yeah, Lim, I think, just trying to calm down for a moment.
A 1-0. Doesn't get the inside corner called, 1-1. Wind really picking up now, blowing out to left. 2 balls and no strikes. This is low, 3-0. Well, after the leadoff strikeout, Lim in danger of letting the next 3 batters reach. The 3-0 to Canales on the way. Not even close, high and outside.
Yeah, I jinxed it by saying his command started looking a little bit better at the next to bat after the strikeout. And then they'll have a meeting and talking things over with the bases juiced here with only 1 down here in the top of the first.
Yeah, Thomas Eager up and out of the Cardinal dugout to have a chat with Christian Lim. We do see some bodies scurrying over to the Stanford bullpen, but Eager, the Kathy Wolf assistant coach, in charge of pitching and recruiting as well, has done such a terrific job, especially in the postseason over the years, talking things over with Lim and Moore and the infield. Creighton 16-3. They started 11-1. That was their best 12-game start since 2000. And their season began when they just hammered Coppin State 24-0 in the opener. They've put up some gaudy numbers. Now, they haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of competition, but still, first in the Big East in batting average coming into this week, first in on-base percentage at .451, first in slugging percentage at .534 as a team coming into this week's action. That's pretty big stuff.
The numbers, the standings, they don't lie. They don't tell everything, but they do not lie.
Yeah. Will McLean will try to add on to all of those respective numbers here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Scoreless as Lim deals, breaking ball, tails low and outside for ball 1. McLean, a junior from Exeter, New Hampshire, transferred from UMass. McLean slashing .279, .390, .353 with 1 home run and 13 driven in. Inside and 1 around.
That was a good pitch there, but the previous pitch and then on the previous batters, it looked like there was just a lot of nibbling going on, trying to just dance around that strike zone. I think he now finds himself where he's got to be assertive, not wanting to hang one, obviously, but he's probably going to have to go out this and dig his way out.
Broke a streak of 8 straight balls thrown by Lim. Here he paints the outside corner and gets the call. 1-2. Dieters at third with a triple that just skimmed off the glove of Brady Reynolds in right. Sailors at second and Canales at first. They both walked. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him looking. Called strike 3. And Will McLean says, man, why didn't I swing at that? And Christian Lim says, big out there.
Yeah, very big out. Still, though, bases juiced even with 2 outs. Still a very dangerous situation. But he seemed to be that much more confident with his delivery on the last at-bat. Just looked like he had a better plan of where he was going to go in the strike zone. Obviously, still early in this one. But right now, if he can get out of this, there would be a big, big confidence booster going forward.
Hogan Helixo from Omaha, a junior. Stepping up to the plate, Helixo slashing .343, .478, .400. No home runs, 8 RBI. Fouls this one off towards the right field plaza area, which once upon a time used to be the entry plaza here at Sunken Diamond. But years ago, during the renovation, they moved it to behind home plate. Smart move, actually. No balls and 1 strike. With the bases loaded. Curveball right down the middle. Helixo takes it, and he's down 0-2.
Yeah, it's big for him to get ahead in the count here. And again, just looking that much more commanding with his pitches than he was when he had the 2 straight walks. Looking much more comfortable again.
The 0-2 from Lim. High and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Helixo, all Big East second team last year. Finished his freshman season pretty strong back in 22, 4 multi-hit games in his final 10 games of that season. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Reaches out, laces that one foul.
There's another pitch where it looked like he was coming at the strike zone with a little bit more authority.
Bases loaded. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Lim trying to emerge unscathed. And just in front of that one, fouled off just to the front of the Creighton dugout. Helixo 1 for 4 yesterday. The junior from Omaha, which is where Creighton University is located. Think they're pumped about men's basketball on that campus right about now?
It's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe so. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Got him. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Christian Lim gets out of the bases loaded jam unharmed. Blue Jays leave him loaded. Creighton 0 and Stanford coming to bat. Let's give you the Cardinal batting order right here and now. And here's the headline maybe for today for Stanford. Leading off for the Cardinal is Malcolm Moore. First time he has been placed in that spot as they try to get him going. More on that in a second, but Malcolm Moore is batting leadoff. Ethan Hott batting second. Court McDonald heads down to the 3 spot. Jimmy Natai batting 4th. Brandon Larson's the designated hitter. He bats 5th. Brady Reynolds in the 6th spot. Timo Becerra batting 7th. Trevor Haskins is batting 8th. And Owen Cobb rounding out the Stanford batting order. Cardinal coming into the week batting .249 as a team. Defensively for Creighton as the Blue Jays take the field in a pretty snazzy color combination there. Kind of the 1983 Kansas City Royals kind of look there. I like it. But in left to right, it's Nolan Sailors, Tate Gillen, and Teddy Dieters. Around the horn, Matt Sherman at third, Ben North at short, Kyle Hess at second, Will McLean at first, Hogan Helixo behind the dish. And starting for Creighton on the mound today is Chad Sainer, a grad transfer originally from Springfield, Illinois, 6'2", 205. Just spent the last 4 years at Illinois Springfield. So he is transferred over just one state to play for the Creighton Blue Jays. And Sainer just about to make his second appearance of the year. His only other appearance was a start, only just went 1 inning, and it came last weekend against the University of San Francisco Dons. Threw a scoreless inning, gave up a hit, walked 1, struck out 1, no decision. The Dons ended up winning that one 6-3, but Ed Service turning to a relatively new face here to get the start for the Blue Jays on the mound.
Yeah, he'd been limited previously by injury, but you can see that if you look at his background, he can definitely rack up the Ks. 157 strikeouts in his time with Illinois Springfield, limiting opponents to a .207 batting average. And back in 2001, posted an 8-0 record in 12 starts. So this is going to be a big-time challenge for the Cardinal here today. And right off the bat, like you were talking about, as I use the obvious baseball pun, Moore here, whose average has not been where he wants it to be. I think he's going to be trying to get things going. I'm very curious to see if he can, in the leadoff spot, get it rolling.
Well, so is David Esker, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. Moore, the sophomore from Sacramento. Saw a bunch of his family members in the crowd. He was chatting with them before the game today. Moore slashing 176, 337, 412. Does lead the team with 5 home runs, tied for the team lead with 12 RBI. Looks the first pitch high from Sainer for ball 1.
You do wonder if any of the talk about the potential is something that's a factor.
One ball, no strikes. And now 2-0. Perhaps, although I think perhaps a bigger factor here might be the fact that, Moore is now the big gun in the Stanford attack, and opposing teams are going to pitch him accordingly. The 2-0. Roped to right. Base hit. And Malcolm Moore leads off with a single. Points to the Stanford dugout. Says, all right, fellas, let's keep it going.
It's important to make your manager look smart. And that was a good bit of contact hitting. And then mimes his swing from first. I like that as well.
So perhaps the move from Moore to the leadoff spot, perhaps paying dividends. We'll see if the Cardinal can keep it going here with Ethan Hott, the sophomore from Paradise Valley, Arizona, at the plate now. Hott slashing .283, .353, .391. No home runs and 3 RBI. Made a terrific diving grab late in the game yesterday to prevent an extra base hit and to keep the Cardinal in it. But Stanford could not push across either the game-tying run or the go-ahead run in the late going. The 1-0 from Sainer. Cranked to center field, ranging over is Gillen. Over to his left, makes the catch on a jog, 1 away.
I like the swing, good contact. Got under it just a little bit. I do wonder, though, as we've seen a lot of changing sun and cloud conditions, these seem like the perfect conditions to see us have a guy get one lost in the sun and the clouds here, as it's been inconsistent about every 30 seconds.
Court McDonald, the batter, with Moore at first after the leadoff single. Curve starts upstairs, stays upstairs for ball 1 to McDonald, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas. That might explain the walk-up music a little bit. McDonald slashing .323, 405, 415, 2 home runs, and 12 driven in. 1 ball, no strikes. That one is high as well, as Sainer's been staying up in the zone and maybe a bit too high for his liking to this point.
Do you know your walk-up song, by the way? Have you picked it out over the years?
B.O.B. by Outkast.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The 2-0. High strike called there by Daryl Mason, 2-1.
It's high tempo. It's energetic.
Exactly. High tempo, gets you hyped, gets you rolling, gets you ready to go. The 2-1. And that one stays up high once again, 3-1. Although part of me would kind of be intrigued to walk up to J.S. Bach's Brandenburg's Fifth Concerto or something like that.
That would be unique.
That would be an attention getter. 3 balls, 1 strike. With Moore dancing around at first. Makes a bluff towards second. And McDonald takes strike 2. Sunken Diamond, 335 down the lines, 375 to the alleys, 400 to straightaway center. Outfield fences 8 feet high. Full count. Misses high and outside. 2 aboard for the Cardinal. Bringing up Jimmy Natai, who has been the most consistent bat for the Cardinals so far this year.
And the most appropriate walk-up music for all the members of the Cardinal being from the land down under of Australia. Not that there's anything wrong with the Texas song, but this one seems like it was written specifically for this moment.
Certainly. Natai, the youngster, the sophomore from Sydney, Australia, slashing .343, 434, 543, leading the Cardinal in all of those respective categories. Has 2 on with 1 out here. High once again from Sainer for ball 1. Natai also leads Stanford in base hits with 24, doubles with 9, and total bases with 38. He's also been hit by a pitch at team high 5 times. A 1-0. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball. That's been Sainer's best pitch, maybe by far, to this point in the game.
It seems like he's hitting that or having trouble getting up in the zone, which we talk about his limited pitching this year maybe playing a factor.
The 1-1. High in the air to left, but it'll stay in the park. Sailors makes the grab. 2-gun.
Well, both of today's starters being tested early in this game with runners in scoring position. Not quite as dire for Sainer as it was for Lim, but if they weren't awake before this first inning, they will be going into the second inning.
Meanwhile, Brandon Larson steps to the plate. Larson, a sophomore from Rockland, California. He's the designated hitter for Stanford today. Hitting .313, check out 1 home run and 2 RBI. Pitch high and outside for ball 1, and with that pitch, Sainer matching his pitch count in his lone appearance so far this year that came last week against USF, 15. Here's pitch number 16 from Sainer. Hit to right, stays up. Dieter's to his knees, but he's able to make the grab and retire the side. Blue Jays left on 3, Card leave on 2. We're scoreless after 1. Top of the second inning here at Sunken Diamond, the bottom of the order for the Creighton Blue Jays. Scoreless as we begin this frame. The 7, 8, 9 batters due up for the Blue Jays. Beginning with Matt Sherman, grad transfer originally from Wheaton, Illinois. Christian Lim deals a first pitch strike to Sherman. Lim able to get out of a bases loaded 1-out jam and emerge unharmed from that. Sherman slashing .333, 414, 588. 1 home run and 11 knocked in. Inside to Sherman. Count goes to 1-1. Sherman, a transfer from the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. Bagosh. The 1-1. Way in front of that one, swing and a miss, strike 2.
Is the Bagosh in part of the official title?
Might as well be, right?
You can't not say it.
You can't. I couldn't hold off of it yesterday. Just couldn't resist. The 1-2 pitch. Got him again. Christian Lim changing speeds and completely crossing up Sherman.
Yeah, look of confidence coming off the mound after that pitch was delivered. Looking to avoid what happened after the first at bat of the last inning, in which he then got into a 1-out bases loaded jam, but was eventually able to get out of it.
3 consecutive batters struck out by Christian Lim. Here's Ben North. Bouncing fair and rolling all the way to the corner. North heads into second with a stand-up double.
Well, for a second straight inning, it's that second at bat that has found a multi-base hit. In the top of the first, it was the triple, and this is now the double. So immediately faced with a 1-out situation with a runner in scoring position. He responded well the first inning. We'll see how he responds well.
Yeah, North sending a scalder down the third base line. Timo Becerra not holding the line. So that was a pretty easy ball to get through. Kyle Hess. 0 for 2 yesterday. The junior from Mountainside, New Jersey. Transferred from Notre Dame. Shows bunt. Pulls it back. The pitch goes over for a called strike 1. Hess slashing .256, 408, 308. No home runs and 5 driven in. No balls and 1 strike to Hess. Inside off the fist, fouled off the front of the fence that separates the Stanford dugout from the field of play, and Hess down quickly, 0-2. Hess transferred from Notre Dame after the 2021 season. One of 2 Notre Dame transfers on this Creighton squad. We saw the other one get the start yesterday, Dominic Cancelleri, who pitched 7 innings and got the win. Dancing around at second, comes to the plate with it. Did he go around? He sure did. That is strikeout number 5 for Christian Lim, and that was a gorgeous breaking ball to finish off Hess.
Yeah, that was a great pitch. And again, the response after letting the double happen has been strong from Lim this time. Just looks much more, again, like I said in the first inning after he had the trouble with the walks, that much more authoritative in his delivery and not nibbling the zone like we saw previously.
Some nasty stuff from Lim as that pitch just danced away from Hess. Back up to the top of the order we go. Tate Gillen struck out to begin the game. Mighty cut, barely gets a piece of it. May have fouled it off of his foot, as Hess might need to walk that one off a little bit. So one time through the order, Lim with 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 extra base hits. So maybe, in a sense, kind of feast or famine from Lim so far in this game. Clouds obscuring the sun once again. We're going to be in this pattern for the remainder of the afternoon, but again, we should remain dry, unlike yesterday where things got a bit wet during the 5th inning. That was fun. No balls and 1 strike. With North at second. Breaking ball in the dirt, blocked by Moore.
Were you doing your own impression of the famous Norman Rockwell painting of the umpires holding their hand out to feel the rain?
Was not. Didn't need to feel it. It was blowing in here into the press box. 1-1. Bounces to the first base coach's box. And, of course, a major shout. I mean, we're covered here for the most part here in the press box, but a shout out to our camera, who isn't shielded from the elements, on the roof of the press box here. So appreciate you hanging in there with us up top.
They're much tougher than us.
They are, no doubt. And we appreciate that. The 1-2 pitch. Off the fist, shallow left. McDonald makes the catch and retires the side. Double by North, but the Blue Jays can't do anything with it. We remain scoreless heading to the bottom of the second. Bottom second about to begin here at Sunken Diamond. Blue Jays and the Cardinals scoreless to this point. Brady Reynolds would like to try to change that here if he can, as he leads off for the Cardinal. Reynolds, a freshman from Bakersfield, slashing .289, .411, .422. 1 home run and 7 RBI. Sainer continuing his propensity for pitching high. Deals ball 1 to Reynolds. Reynolds had a 7-game hit streak earlier this season, earlier in this month, I should say. Which technically is still earlier this season, but you get my drift.
You were right the first time.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's still March.
1 ball and 1 strike. Breaking ball again. Starts high and stays high from Sainer. Sainer transfer from Illinois Springfield. Veteran for that program before heading over to play for Creighton. We should mention, as the count goes to 3-1, yesterday was the first time ever that Creighton and Stanford had ever played on the baseball diamond. Creighton able to take an early 1-0 lead in that series. The 3-1. Outside corner gets the call, count full.
And good pitch there.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, even though Creighton and Stanford had not played each other until yesterday, Stanford has played on Creighton's home field many times over the years. As the payoff pitch on the way, misses high for ball 4. Leadoff man aboard once again for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's been the same story in each inning we've seen so far. We'll see if Sainer does respond.
Oh, and he's going to have to figure out a way to retire what's been a pretty hot bat lately. Timo Becerra, the junior from Clovis, California. Becerra slashing .292, .351, .323 with no home run and 5 RBI. But Becerra went 3 for 3 yesterday and has a 6-game hit streak coming into today's action. Waits on this one, and it goes over for a called strike 1. The Blue Jays play at Charles Schwab Field, which is the home of the Men's College World Series. Of course, Stanford has been in the Men's College World Series 3 years running. 0-1. High again. 1 ball and 1 strike. Such a terrific event. The city of Omaha, I mean, that's one of their big events. This kind of become a sneaky good sports scene. Collegiately, they've got the swimming and diving Olympic trials, I think, that happened there. Tails low and outside, 2-1. But the Men's College World Series has been in Omaha for decades, dating back to the old days at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium. Imagine if Creighton gets there one day. That'd be fun. The 2-1. Chopper. Foul ball.
Well, I know that my brother, former voice of the UCLA Bruins, who was with them when they did win the College World Series, went there various times and said that it's magic. He says it's one of the most incredible things he's ever been able to take part of in sports, and says that anybody that doesn't have it on their bucket list for sporting events, that they need to put it on there.
Agreed. Can confirm. 2-2 to Timo. Throw back to first with Reynolds diving back in. Brady is 2 for 3 in stolen bases so far this year. Of course, the year I went was the year that Kyle Peterson was pitching for Stanford. This was the 97 College World Series. Kyle Peterson from Omaha. He's basically the mayor of that town now. It was like walking around town with the Beatles or something. And I can only imagine that that's magnified as his profile has grown.
He's not having to pay for many drinks.
No. You want to make sure that you're hanging around him when you walk into the steakhouse and sitting at his table. The 3-2 to Timo Becerra from Sainer. Runner going. In the air, foul territory. McLean giving chase, and he hangs on to it. With his back to home plate, reaching up and snaring it in foul ground for the out.
Yeah, great catch there. A little bit of acrobatics at the end as he maintained his posture and almost landed in a superhero-like pose, and that's a big out. And a nice play. Pitchers appreciate the support.
Pitchers appreciate the foul room here in this place. Trevor Haskins, the batter, junior from San Jose, went 0 for 4 yesterday against Creighton. Breaking ball misses outside. Ball 1 to Haskins, who's slashing 197, 280, and 288. Looking for his first home run of the year. Has driven in 6. And David Esker wants a word with Haskins. So timeout called. Yeah, it was so much fun for many reasons to see this program back on the stage in Omaha over the last 3 years, and knowing what it means to David Esker, having been on that stage as a player, helping to deliver the 1987 National Championship to Stanford, and taking Cal to the College World Series in 2011 when that program was undergoing the circumstances that it was facing at that time. It was supposed to be cut. That program was dead in the water, but Eske still led the Bears to Omaha that season. 1-1, swing and a miss by Haskins. Now the count's at 1-1. But Omaha really has embraced Stanford whenever it's gone back there. Brock Jones kind of became a big-time celebrity, taking selfies with fans from center field. A 1-1 pitch. Haskins reaches up with Reynolds on the move, makes contact, and fouls it back, 1-2.
Yeah, it was described to me as having the intimacy of spring training, but with much, much higher stakes.
I'm sure the tailgating is still on point. A 1-2 pitch from Sainer. Fouled off again. Haskins trying to stay alive. Haskins had been in a bit of a slump until late last weekend. He had been just 1 of 24 in his last 8 games, entering Game 2 of the USC series last week. But then he finished that series against the Trojans 4 of 9. So a good way for him to celebrate his birthday weekend. The 1-2 from Sainer. Runner moving. And the ball skips off of Helixo's glove. So Reynolds in safely to second. Reynolds now 3 of 4 on stolen bases this year. 2-2. Got him. Foul tip into the glove. And Haskins couldn't quite connect with the slider from Sainer. No strikeout of the afternoon.
Sainer settling in a little bit more here, but still has not looked completely comfortable from pitch to pitch. But as we said, he's only had 1 inning pitch this year heading into this game, so his rhythm probably not completely dialed in right now, but it seems like he's finding it a bit more as we get deeper into this game.
And who knows how much of a book that Stanford had on Sainer coming in, having only maybe 15 pitches of tape to look at. Here's Owen Cobb. A lot of tape on him over his Cardinal career. He's a grad student from Seattle. Good curve, but misses inside from Sainer for ball 1. Cobb slashing 225, 286, 451. 3 home runs, tied for the team lead with 12 RBI. Has the team lead with 2 triples. Lifted, shallow left, going back north, coming in Sailors. It's North who makes the catch just in fair territory. And the side is retired. Card leave 1 in scoring position. Still looking for a first run here at Sunken Diamond. Scoreless after 2. Great to have you with us on the Stanford live stream. Creighton and Stanford, game 2 of this series, inning number 3 of this game. I'm Troy Clarity. He's Ted Ramey, and Ted with the call, the 3rd and the 4th.
And thank you, Troy. It's a beautiful day here at Sunken Diamond in Stanford as we've got a mix of sunshine and clouds. Still no score here in the top of the 3rd, and Teddy Dieters leading off for Creighton. And Christian Lim, he's struck out 5 already on the day, and he gets ready for his first pitch. And that's going to be inside. Ball 1-0. Lim had a little bit of trouble in the top half of the first, got into a bases-loaded one-out situation that he was able to strike his way out of, and he's looked much more comfortable since. As that pitch is in for a strike, 1-1 the count. With weather this beautiful, imagine if I had been here yesterday. You might not have gotten wet.
So where were you yesterday? Oh, that's right. You were elsewhere.
I was elsewhere. 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Well, and that off speed is really starting to become a big factor for Christian Lim. We saw him unveil it a bit more in the course of the 2nd inning. It completely fooled Kyle Hess. That was a strikeout pitch there. And that was a thing of beauty on that last pitch.
1-2. And that's going to be tip strike 3. And that's the 6th on the day for Lim, who is just looking so much more comfortable as we get deeper and deeper into this game. Now it's going to be Sailors stepping to the plate for Creighton. Still scoreless here in the top half of the 3rd. Nolan Sailors from Omaha, Nebraska, which we've been giving a lot of love here over this broadcast. In for a strike.
Yeah, if you don't like college, or if you like college baseball and you don't like Omaha, then that's a you problem.
Outside 1-1. I would also hazard a guess that if they are listening to us, they just might be fans of college baseball and Omaha, Nebraska.
You would think.
I hope we're preaching to the choir. 1-1 in for a strike, 1-2. Sailors started all 49 games for the Blue Jays last season. Hit .271, team leading 11 stolen bases. And he did not go. I'll make it 2-2.
And Sailors has been magnificent for Creighton for much of the season. Homered in 3 straight games earlier this month.
And swing and a miss got him. And right now, Lim is feeling it. 2 down here in the top of the third.
Well, we're seeing his change become effective, and we're seeing some wicked breaking stuff from Lim as well. Really start to keep Creighton kind of on their heels a little bit.
Dolby Canales stepping to the plate now. The senior from Orange, California. Swing and a miss on strike 1. Enters the day batting .324. Strike 2.
He's getting that curve over for strikes consistently now.
Oh, 2. Swing and a miss. Lim sits him down, 3 up, 3 down, striking out the side. We will head to the bottom of the third. Still no score here at Sunken Diamond. Welcome back to Sunken Diamond here at Stanford. Still no score in the bottom of the third between Creighton and Stanford. We're at the top of the order now for the Cardinal. Malcolm Moore leading things off. He singled to right in his first at-bat. This is his first time hitting leadoff this season. We'll see if this changes the offensive dynamic for the Cardinal here as he sees pitch 1. And he'll pop that up into right. As we see Dieters ranging over, he makes the catch. 1 up, 1 down here for Chad Sainer, who's been a little bit inconsistent on the bump for Creighton so far in this game, but did look a little bit more settled. So we'll see if that's a trend that continues. He's had some issues missing high so far in this game, but has settled in. Obviously no runs on the board as of yet, so it's working up to this point. Hot shows bunt. Pulls back, 1-0 count. Hot batting .277 on the season. And he'll get that right through to short. That's fielded and thrown to first, but off the bag and in at first is Hot. Put the ball in a bad space. Got himself onto base. And the Cardinal have a base runner here in the bottom of the third. 1 man down. And we will see McDonald coming up now for the Cardinal.
Well, I'll give North credit for making that play perhaps a bit closer than it should have been. As I thought that he probably should have eaten that ball as soon as he gobbled it up behind second base, but pirouetted and made a relatively on-target throw, but Hot able to beat it out.
And a throw over to first. Hot back, no problem.
Yeah, once you saw where that ball was when North had it behind second base compared to where Hot was in the base paths, you knew that Hot was going to be safe. I'm still somewhat surprised that North tried to give it a go.
That'll be outside. Ball 1.
Obviously, if you miss that throw, that unlocks a worst-case scenario.
Most definitely. When North went for it, I thought I misjudged the speed on the ball just because I didn't think he was going to have the ability to make a play. And this is hit foul. Back behind the stands here, behind third base. And hopefully not near anybody's car. Hot at first with a healthy lead. Sainer comes. And that'll be inside ball 2.
In case you're just joining us, Court McDonald, who has normally been in the leadoff role for Stanford, not so today. Now in the 3 spot with Malcolm Moore, doing a little bit of a switcheroo. And Moore leading off today.
Runner goes, and that's going to be ripped into right field. And Hott will make his way into third, standing up. And the hit and run pays off for the Cardinals, who have runners at the corner here with 1 out in the bottom of the third. Cardinal threatening.
That's about how you draw it up right there, and perfectly placed by McDonald. The big hole between Hess and McLean, between second and first respectively. And McDonald setting it up well for Jimmy Nadai.
Yeah, Jimmy Nadai making his way to the plate, the Australian who hails from Sydney. Flew out to left earlier in this one in his first at bat. Now has an opportunity to do some damage here. And he'll slap this one into center. That'll bring Hott home. 1-0 Cardinal. An RBI there for Nadai. And Stanford has the first run and first lead of the day. 1-0 now in the bottom of the third.
Boy, just a nice easy swing there from Nadai. Didn't try to force it, didn't try to muscle the ball out of the yard, just saw the pitch that he wanted, went up and got it, and just put it in play. Stanford with the first run of this game.
Yeah, very just calm swing there from Nadai. As now Larson at the plate, runners at first and second, 1 down. The Cardinal trying to keep the wheel turning here. And looking to level the series at 1 game apiece after falling yesterday 3-2. McDonald at second. Nadai at first as McDonald is watched back to second after he had a healthy lead.
Yeah, all runs yesterday scored by the time the first 3 innings were completed.
And that'll be the second one. And got him at first. Double play. Side retired. But the Cardinal strike first, taking a 1-0 lead. We're headed to the 4th. Back after this. We're back at Stanford. The Cardinal leading 1-0 here in the top of the 4th. Ted Ramey alongside Troy Clarity. As the Cardinal have the first lead in this one. And now looking to see what Christian Lim can build upon if they're not allowing a run through the first 3. He struck out 8. Struck out the side last inning. Just getting more and more confident throughout this game. First pitch of the 4th, in for a ball, high. And like you said, Troy, the off-speed mixing of pitches from Lim has just increased tremendously as that's fouled off. 1-1. And just looks so much comfortable mixing in all of his repertoire as we've gotten deeper into the game.
Yeah, and it's not just mixing it in, it's the command of those pitches, placing them where he wants them to go. That's what's really been the key for Lim as this outing is gone.
As this is into center, and Hott ranges to his right and makes the catch, 1 down. And even when Lim is giving up a bit of solid contact, it's in a place where his outfielder can get it.
Yep. Because obviously you can throw any kind of pitch out there you want to, but if you can't master any of them, if you can't place any of them in the right spots, then what's the point?
Hogan Helgso at the plate now for Creighton. And that'll be fouled off. Struck out in his first appearance earlier today. 15 runs scored, 8 driven in on the season. And that's in for a strike, 0-2.
Pitch number 61 from Lim. He did kind of have to work through that first inning a bit, but since then has become more efficient.
0-2. Outside.
So while that pitch count seemed a little high to me as I looked at it, I was just kind of based on the perception of what he's done the past 2 1/3. But it did take him a while to work through that first.
The first inning, the bases loaded jam, as this is skied into right. As Reynolds is under, it makes the catch, 2 down. But right now, fully in command. And I know we talked about it earlier, but just his overall ability over his last 3 starts, since being named the pitcher of the week back on March 4th, just seemingly getting better and better and better.
Tennessee State Player of the Year as a high school senior. 2-time All-State for Montgomery Bell Academy back in Nashville.
Sherman at the plate. Struck out in the second. That's in for a ball. Sherman batting .327 on the season. Struck out 12 times. 7 walks, 11 driven in. 1-0 in for his strike. Evens the count at 1.
Yeah, there's that curve again. And got the high strike called.
In for the strike again. 1-2, Lim dealing right now. 1-2 count, 2 down here in the top of the 4th. And that's going to be watched for ball 2. Level at 2 on the count now.
Becerra, Haskins, and Cobb just kind of made that little half spin towards the dugout just in case it was strike 3 called.
2-2. And that'll be fouled back.
And there's the change of speed on that one. Sherman way in front of it. And in some respects, maybe lucky to make just enough contact on it to stay alive.
I think that's just indicative of the way that Lim's been able to keep guys off balance.
Mm-hmm.
2-2 from Lim. And that's going to be handled at short to first. 3 up, 3 down for Lim. And the Cardinal, behind the pitching of Christian Lim, take a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the 4th. We'll be back at Stanford right after this. And back at Sunken Diamond here at Stanford, the Cardinal leading 1-0, bottom of the 4th. New pitcher for Creighton, Jimmy Birkin, 6'5", 190 right-hander, a junior from Orland Park in Illinois. And he now steps up, bringing some imposing size to the mound. 7.27 ERA on the season with a 2.19 whip. And the first pitch into Reynolds is a strike, 0-1.
Burke transferred to Creighton after 2 years at South Suburban Community College, just south of Chicago.
And that's popped up along the first base line. Then, now, excuse me, I lost that in the clouds. That will be into right. I fell the first victim to it today. And Teddy Dieters makes the catch.
Yeah, it's a bit tough right now. The sun obscured by the clouds right now. And as I say that, the sun is now starting to peek out in right field. But you're absolutely right. A little tricky to pick up where that ball is no matter where you are in the stadium right now.
And the conditions just making sure they could make at least one of us look bad for a moment. And that is going to be roped to third, over to first for the out, 2 down. Things moving quickly here.
Burke, by the way, reportedly had a nasty arsenal of pitches. Not quite sure that we've seen that to this point. Then again, he's only thrown 3 pitches, so we'll see how it goes. Shane Curtin, a reliever who came on for the Blue Jays yesterday, he had some nasty stuff.
So Haskins at the plate now for the Cardinal after 1 pitch was all it took for Becerra. We'll see if Haskins will do better, and he does. 1-0. Shows bunt, and that's going to get past. 2-0 now for Haskins.
Final line on Chad Sainer, by the way. 3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run it was earned, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout, and 46 pitches thrown.
Yeah, considering, let's see, we've got the 2-0 at North at short, and he'll make a long throw, not held on to, and Haskins is in safe at first. But for Sainer, like we were saying, considering he'd only thrown 15 pitches this year, tripled that up when +1 with 46, he's got to feel good about that. Maybe he didn't have his best stuff, but still was effective when he needed to be.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily pitch poorly as they give Haskins the single on that last play, as maybe North probably should have had that one in the clamps of his glove. But in any case, Sainer didn't pitch poorly. Maybe missed a bit too high, perhaps, for his liking. And Stanford didn't really get to touch him up just a whole lot. But Creighton's still in this game, even though they've had to turn to their bullpen.
Throw over to first. Haskins back, no issue. Yeah, I would say if you leave only giving up 1, not bad if it's only your second appearance and you previously only threw 15 pitches. Something to build off of for sure. Burke delivers, and that'll be low. Ball 1.
Well, Sainer also got helped out by that 4-6-3 double play that Brendan Larson grounded into to end the 3rd inning after Stanford had gotten 3 straight singles, one of them to knock in a run, the only run of the game so far, but still.
And another throw over to first. No issues for Haskins.
So without that play, who knows potentially how much different it could have looked. But hey, that's part and parcel of being a pitcher. When you're doing that, when you're doing good things, more often than not, it's your defense helping you out.
And a throw over to first once again. Owen Cobb batting .222 on the season. (1-0). Shows bunt fouled off. 1-1.
Of course, we've got Stanford women's basketball coming up later on today against Iowa State, the round of 32 in the tournament. 7 p.m. tip-off at Maples Pavilion. Creighton in the round of 32. They're down the coast. They're facing the 2-seed UCLA. That game tomorrow.
And another throw over to first. Yeah, this is a good time of the year to be taking in sports just about anywhere in California.
Is that Creighton-Oregon men's basketball game over yet? It was quite a long one.
I did not investigate.
Blue Jays winning that one in double overtime, knocking out the Ducks last night. That was high drama.
2-1.
Suddenly, Arizona, the Wildcats, the only Pac-12 team left in the dance.
The bracket exists to make us all look poor. I always say I'm a good sports broadcaster because I'm good at being wrong about things. You have your ideas, you have your takes, you have your thoughts on how things are going to play out. Well informed on the one hand, maybe not accurately predicting on the other. 3-1. And that'll be in, ball 4.
Yep.
And so Stanford has 2 on with 2 out now. And we'll get a meeting on the mound now for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, there is a lefty doing some tossing in the Blue Jay bullpen right now. Yeah, the basketball tournaments, both of them in full swing. The last game to be played here at Maples Pavilion for this year. Some fantastic players, of course, for the Cardinal. Cam Brink, who's already declared for the WNBA. This will be her final time lacing him up at Maples Pavilion. And they face an Iowa State squad that really opened up a lot of eyes with their win over Maryland on Friday. Audi Crooks, the freshman, 40 points on 18 of 20 shooting. And just her ability.
An efficient night.
That is super efficient and a record-breaking night, too. And just her footwork, her hands catching the ball in the crowd and converting. That was something to watch. They can shoot from outside, too, so this is going to be a fascinating matchup tonight at Maples. Looking forward to being there for it.
And more up now for the Cardinal.
Well, more in the leadoff spot today. He's already got a single. Now let's see what he can do with 2 on and 2 out.
He singled in his first at-bat in the first. Flew out to right in his second at-bat, and this is popped up. And Sailors doesn't have to move much in left, makes the catch, and the side is retired. We are heading to the 5th. Stanford leading 1-0. We'll be back after this. Back at Stanford, Cardinal leading 1-0. We'll give it back to Troy.
Thank you, Ted. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for Creighton. 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors for Stanford. Ben North strides to the plate, saw just 1 pitch in his last at-bat in the second, and roped it down the third base line for a double. He looks at strike 1 here from Christian Lim, who has been terrific so far, striking out 8 while walking just 2. Lim working quickly, and that ball just dribbles foul. North down in the count 0-2. Ben North against Houston Christian back on February 23rd had 10 RBI. 10 runs driven in 1 game. That's the single game high so far in all Division I. How do you drive in 10 runs in 1 game? You hit 2 grand slams, you hit an RBI triple, and you get hit with the pitch with the bases loaded.
For the hit by the pitch with the bases loaded, that is a nice icing on the cake to get to double digits.
10 RBI in 1 game. He won all kinds of Player of the Week awards for that one, and rightfully so. Moore setting up on the outside portion of the plate. The 0-2 from Lim, well outside, 1-2. Beyond his 10 RBI game, he also has a 5 RBI game. That came against UMass Lowell on March 5th. And a 4 RBI game against Portland on March 10th. So he's driven in runs in bunches. Staying alive here, fouling it back to the screen. Count stays at 1-2. North has 3 grand slams this year. 3. A lot of teams don't have 3 grand slams in the course of a season. 1 ball, 2 strikes. On a couple of hops, Cobb sizes it up and throws over to first in time for the out.
Now, I will point out as I'm looking here at Mr. North's bio, preferred Omaha restaurant for your next trip there, Blue Sushi.
Okay. All right.
It's not the first thing I think of when I think of Omaha, but he would know.
Okay. I'm down with sushi. I'll, you know, if their unagi's good, I'm in. But if I'm in Omaha, I'm grabbing a steak.
It does feel like the natural thing to go to.
It's like when you're in Tucson, you grab a breakfast burrito. Kyle Hess, the batter, the 9th spot of the Creighton order, struck out swinging in his first plate appearance. Appealed to third base umpire Angel Campos, and Hess holds up. 1 ball and no strikes. Going to be strange trying to find different breakfast spots in some different towns when I'm traveling with Stanford next year.
This feels like a great podcast in the making where you could list for future visits, as things will be changing for different places you go to, where you've been going to get your breakfasts.
Yeah.
And people like me, at the very least. I hope the rest of your audience, as that's in for a strike, would be as interested as I would be. I like food and sports, so it feels like a natural fit. Excuse me.
A couple back-to-back fastballs going over from Lim makes it a 1-2 count. Stays outside 2-2. Yeah, it's going to be weird, you know. I mean, Baja Cafe in Tucson. Last time I was there last month, grabbed the short rib burrito with scrambled eggs on top and a guacamole kind of deal. That might have been the best breakfast in a restaurant. That might be the best I've ever had, quite honestly.
That sounds incredible. Just
it
the
was.
description.
And I needed help to my car afterwards. Count full to Hess. Payoff pitch on the way. Got him. Swing and a miss. And Christian Lim battles through it and delivers his 9th strikeout of the day.
Yeah, Lim just continues. Like we said, not only is he mixing his pitches, but like you said, he is just being decisive and authoritative with how he's using them, when he's using these pitches. And right now, Creighton off balance, and Lim just absolutely dealing right now.
It's the 4th 3-ball count for Lim today, but the first since the first inning. Back to the top of the order, it's Tate Gillen. Struck out in the first, flew out to left to end the second. And takes this a fastball in the outside corner, called strike 1. Yeah, Baja Cafe in Tucson is the spot. The Park Cafe in Salt Lake City.
I've been there.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
That's right. Of course, I'm sure your travels in other sports take you to Salt Lake City. Wisecracks in Corvallis. Chase's Pancake Corral in Bellevue, Washington, on the Seattle's east side. Opposite field, landing into the bullpen as Gillen is down 1-2 in the count.
See,
the Buff and Boulder, that's a terrific spot too.
I need to look at your upcoming schedule and see where it lines up with places that I've been, and so I can give some recommendations.
The 1-2 pitch from Lim. Curveball in there, got him looking, and Lim is lighting up the Blue Jays. Strikeout number 10. Bottom of the 5th in just a moment. Stanford ahead 1-0. Great to have you with us. Bottom of the 5th inning, Stanford leading Creighton 1-0 with the 2-3-4 batters due up for the Cardinal here, beginning with Ethan Hott, who singled and scored in the 3rd. So far, pitching has been the name of the game here in this series. That trend continuing today as Hott looks at the slider from Jimmy Burke. Tails outside catches the corner for strike 1. Burke, the second pitcher for the Blue Jays today, tries a similar pitch. This is a little bit higher there. Count goes to 1-1. Chad Sainer went 3 innings with the start for Creighton. 1-1. Same pitch, same result. 2-1. Other scores around the Pac-12. Washington State with the sweep over Arizona State as the Cougs beat the Sun Devils 8-6 up in Pullman today. Hot in front of that one, fouls it off, 2-2. So the Cougs with breaking out the brooms on the Sun Devils. Arizona leading Oregon 7-3 up in Eugene. That game in the bottom of the 7th inning. Oregon State on top of Washington 6-0 in the top of the 6th inning there. 2-2 pitch. Cracked foul and bouncing between the third base coach's box and the visitor's dugout. Count stays at 2-2. Also at the end of 2, it is USC leading UCLA 1-0 over in Westwood. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Ethan Hott. Take something off of it. Hott just barely makes enough contact on it to stay alive. Count stays at 2-2. So busy day conference-wise around the Pac-12. Stanford, the only team involved in non-conference action this week. 2-2 from Burke. Cracked on a couple of hops to Sherman. Sizes it up, throws over to first in time for the out. Sherman had that well diagnosed the whole way.
Yeah. Saw it well in there, did not panic as that ball took a couple of odd bounces on its way to get over to him at third. Sometimes you just got to let the ball come to you as opposed to trying to figure out where you think you need to be. Of course, I'm not sure if he had time to make that decision. It looked natural at the very least.
Court McDonald has reached base in both of his plate appearances so far today. Walked in the first, singled in the third. And looks at the fastball on the outside corner, called strike one. McDonald says that he appreciates that baseball is a sport of failure. And that's got to be a lot of the battle, because as long as you appreciate that and at least know it going in, at least acknowledge that, hey, even if you're failing 7 out of 10 times, you're still doing okay on the balance, you're going to have a leg up. Fouls this one off, 1-2.
It's all about the mindset. It's not about the 7 out of 10 that were failures. It's the 3 out of 10 that were successes.
And what you do after the 7 out of 10 and how you improve. The 1-2 off speed upstairs.
Which has got to be tough, because imagine if someone told you that 7 out of your 10 broadcasts were going to be designated as quote-unquote failure. That might get to you.
The 2-2 reaches out, taps it foul, off towards the batting cages, over towards that side. Of course, I just consider it a success if, we stay on the air, we don't lose transmission, and I don't use foul language. The 2-2. In the air, down the left field line, twisting and landing in the bullpen.
Yeah, my goal today was not to kick out the power on the mixer. So far, we are succeeding.
So far, so good there.
That's pretty much binary, though. Either do that and kick us off air literally, or do not. A little different than batting average, but success up to this point.
Off the fists and foul down the first base line. So McDonald continuing the saga. Yeah, we're announcers. We're more into instant gratification.
Texting my wife, how'd my call sound?
The 2-2. In the air to center. Gillen ranges over to his right and makes the catch for out number 2. Brings up Jimmy Nadai, who drove in the only run of the game so far, an RBI single in the third. Flew out to left in the first.
Confident strut to the plate, too. I like to see that.
Takes a practice hack. Gathers himself. Steps into the box. And away we go, with Burke dealing the first pitch to Nadai. High for ball 1. Game 3 of this series tomorrow morning, an 11 a.m. start. Fastball from Burke right down the middle. Counting is out 1-1.
Brunch baseball.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stop over at the Jimmy V's Cafe over in the athletic department and grab some breakfast before walking to the park here tomorrow. A 1-1. Did he go around? Nope. Held up. Count goes to 2-1. Of course, I wish Jimmy V's was open on weekends. Who can I talk to about that? 2-1. Fly ball to right. Going back, Dieters. Makes the grab, and the side is retired. 3 up, 3 down, through 5 complete. Stanford up, 1-0. Christian Lim has set down 11 batters in a row. How far can he go? Let's find out. Ted Ramey has the call for the 6th and the 7th.
Yeah, things are looking good here for Christian Lim as he has a 1-0 lead, top of the 6th here at Klein Field. And he'll be facing Teddy Dieters, who tripled in the first and struck out in the third. And now faces Lim, who's been getting more and more confident the deeper we've been into this affair. And the first pitch is in for a strike. Ten strikeouts on the day for Lim. As this is one hop to short, and then that's put out at first. One up, one down for Lim. But as I was saying, Troy, the big moment, the hinge point up to this point was the bases loaded one-out jam that Lim found himself in the top of the first. Struck his way out of it. And since then, I won't say cruise control, but he's just been getting better and better as we've been deeper and deeper into the game.
Yeah, curve and change have become a bit more refined. We saw a really good fastball to start off that at bat to Dieters, and he's also getting help from his defense as well. Nadai with a terrific dig out at first to record the putout. Stanford shifting the infield here.
Sailors watches that inside. That's ball one. And that's going to be outside 2-0.
By my count, Lim has dealt 12 first pitch strikes to the first 21 batters that he's faced now.
Well, he's humming up pitch count, getting towards 90 now. As that'll be swatted into center field and in for the hit for Sailors as he'll stop at first. And so that's the first sign of relative weakness that Lim has shown in quite some time. So we will see how he responds to this now with a base runner. One down here. Top six at Stanford. And now Canales at the plate for the Blue Jays. And Canales, the Orange, California native. Look over to first.
Well, and if anyone for Creighton was going to break up that streak that Lim was carrying that reached 12 batters consecutively retired, it was going to be Sailors, as he has been swinging a very hot stick so far in this series.
And to throw over to first again.
Sailors 10 for 10 in stolen bases this year.
Healthy lead for Sailors at first. And he goes. And the throw is in time. Got him. And that's a big out. As Lim had saw his streak of consecutively retired batters come to an end. But now, thanks to a very, very fine throw from Moore, finds himself empty bases, two down here, top six.
Well, and now they might be taking a look at Moore's throwing hand, as perhaps he may have hit something in his follow-through. You wouldn't have known it from that throw. It was laser picture perfect and right on time. But now they're taking a look at Malcolm to make sure that his hand is okay. Malcolm trying to shake it off a bit.
Say if you can move your hand that quickly, you're probably doing all right.
Well, if you can move your hand that quickly without yelping in pain. Well, catchers are tough guys anyway.
And so the 1-0 count to Canales here, the designated hitter. And that's going to be ball two.
Canales had a grand slam against the Dons last week. How many grand slams does this team have?
Well, they entered the day with a 16-3 record as that's in for a strike 2-1. So that's indicative of things going relatively well. Grand Slam's apparently a part of that.
Yeah, and we hinted at the gaudy numbers that Creighton has had from a batting attack standpoint throughout much of the year, and that's certainly the case. Now, you kind of have to couch it just a little bit because, look, let's face it, Coppin State, Houston Christian, Illinois, Chicago, UMass Lowell. Not exactly upper tier competition, but still, when you're putting up those kind of numbers, it does mean something at the very least.
As a swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Lim. And as we head to the bottom of the sixth, Stanford holding on to a 1-0 lead. Back after this. Back at Sunken Diamond in Stanford, the Cardinal leading 1-0 as Brandon Larson comes to the plate for the Cardinal. And we've got a new pitcher in Tommy Lamb for Creighton, senior, 6'0", 190 pounds. Sets in for his first pitch. And that'll be outside, low, ball one.
Creighton can bring the lefties out of the pen. We saw one, Shane Curtin, yesterday, and he was superb in getting the 2-inning save.
Outside, ball two, Lamb. 13 innings pitched this year. He's given up 16 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts, rocking a 3.46 ERA. And 2-0 is going to be into right field for the base hit. And Larson quickly on base here in the bottom of the sixth. Tommy Lamb, it just sounds like a baseball name, right?
Young man out of Grafton, Wisconsin, transferred to Creighton from the University of Oklahoma, where I'm told sports means a little something back there. Esky and Daryl Mason, the home plate umpire, conferring notes about something. We're about to have a pinch runner here, perhaps?
Yeah.
And it looks like Brett Blair is coming in to replace Brandon Larson. We saw this late in the game yesterday as Blair represented the game-tying run in the 9th inning, got as far as second, but a 5-4-3 double play ended the game last night, or yesterday afternoon, depending upon how you look at it.
It just feels like last night.
Yeah.
And so Brett Blair will be the pinch runner here. Again, bottom 6. Stanford leading 1-0. And for a second consecutive day, this game has been defined by some very nice pitching and some good defense by both of these teams.
Well, by the way, of note, Stanford now has had 13 base hits in this series so far. All of them have been singles. 7 yesterday, 6 so far today.
Limiting the damage. If you don't give up extra base hits, I have a theory.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt you as badly.
You're going to stay in it. That's certainly what happened yesterday for Creighton. There's action in the Stanford bullpen, a right-hander warming up. A little tough to see exactly whom it is from our vantage point, and the black jerseys and dark red numerals don't help out much either.
And Reynolds shows bunt in for strike one. Remember, Blair now at first for Stanford, pinch running. Another look at bunt. Pulled back 1-1.
Brady had a 3-run home run against Penn State back on February 25th.
And that'll be fouled off on another look at bunts. Just waiting for him to pull a hand back in dismay, but he did not.
Yeah, part of me thinks that might have hit the underside of the bill of his helmet.
Yeah. It made a sound like it did.
Mm-hmm.
So 1-2 count. Again, showing bunt. pulls it back and then into right field. Another base hit for the Cardinal as Blair moves to second, and Reynolds is in with the single. And Stanford looking for a little bit more offense on this 1-0 lead. Timo Becerra now coming up to the plate, but we will have a meeting at the mound.
There's a right-hander warming up for Creighton in its bullpen, and we might get to know whom that is a bit more intimately. And we will. Pitch and change coming up.
Again, the Cardinal leading 1-0. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with a new pitcher for the Blue Jays. Back at Stanford, the Cardinal leading 1-0. And we see coming to the plate Timo Becerra, and we've got a new pitcher for Creighton. It is Daniel Hammonds. He walks in 11 1/3 innings pitched so far this year. His high of 2 innings pitched in an appearance came back on March 15th against the Dons. As this one gets by, and Stanford will advance their runners to second and third, so immediately Stanford sees Blair and Reynolds move even more closer to building upon a thin 1-0 lead. As for a second consecutive day, pitching and defense has been the name of the game, not run scoring. Yesterday, Creighton 3-2 winners over the Cardinal. And now Stanford looking to add on. And that's going to be in for a strike, 1-1. But not exactly the confidence booster in pitch number 1 that Daniel Hammond was hoping for.
Well, and maybe in some ways, Creighton lucky that Blair didn't try to score.
And that's going to be ball 2.
With all of that foul room directly behind home plate, I've certainly seen my share of runners score from second on wild pitches.
I was a little bit surprised as well. Maybe they were waiting to see what the carom was going to be. 2-1, kept in front. There's a bit of quick, nimble feet there from Hellickson.
Hammond threw a scoreless inning on Sunday of last week against the University of San Francisco. A couple hits and a strikeout.
3-1 to Becerra. And that's going to be called strike 2. Count is full here. Bottom 6 here at Stanford. Cardinal up 1-0. A run came back in the bottom half of the third. Reynolds at second, Blair at third, Becerra at the plate. Full count. And that'll be tipped foul. It was a double play that kept Stanford from adding more back in the third inning, but now right at this moment the drama feels as high as it's been. Stanford looking to put a crooked number on the board. And Becerra gets under this one. And coming in to make the catch. And no one tagging. And Gillen makes the play. He's had a little bit of trouble on that. Looks like he didn't know quite where it was going to end up. Had to sprint in and get it, but no chance for the tag. And so it remains a 1-0 game. Haskins up to bat now for Stanford.
Well, also Gillen may have been backing up just a little bit because he knew that once he caught it, he'd have to give it a pretty good heave. So maybe backed up a couple extra steps so he could have a running start as he made the catch of the ball, so he could give it as strong of a throw as he possibly could.
Right.
So Blair staying put at third, judging that it wasn't quite deep enough for him to try it, but maybe that also played a part of it as well.
As we've got another meeting on the mound here. Stanford threatening.
No one's warming in the Blue Jay bullpen right now. Hammond from Prairie Village, Kansas. Shawnee Mission East High School, that's in the Kansas City area. Just right down I-29 from Omaha.
One out here. And that's going to be ball one. Haskins batting .206 on the season. Struck out in the second, singled in the fourth. Big hack, strike one. As the mix of cloud and sunshine continues, the clouds making a comeback in the last 10 or so minutes. Outside ball two.
Wind has been a constant, though. As of right now, looks like it's varying from right to left and out to left.
2-1 delivery. And it'll be fouled back 2-2.
Trevor just mistimed that one a little bit.
Cobb is on deck for Stanford. Runners at second and third. 2-2. It's ball three. Full count once again.
Hammond trying to get Trevor to chase that low slider away. It just kind of falls off the table and rolls away from you.
Three-two. And that'll be strike three. And Hammond, one out away from getting out of a very dangerous situation. Came in with runners at first and second. First pitch was wild, advancing the runners to second and third. But he's gotten the big outs, and now he faces Owen Cobb. Stanford with 2 outs here. Still threatening, runners at second and third. But are down to their final out in this bottom half of the sixth with a chance to add on to their 1-run lead. Ball one. His last paid appearance, Cobb walked. Showed a good eye there on the first pitch. And swing and a miss, 1-1.
Cobb had a grand slam against Penn State February 25th. Bases not loaded, so it doesn't have that exact opportunity here in this situation, but I'm sure he'd love to find a way to get Stanford an insurance run. And a ball has been called.
Yeah.
Is there a pitch? Or no, it's 1-2.
So here comes the pitch. And this will be popped up. And caught behind the dish for the out. Helligson makes the final out, and Hammond gets out of the jam for the Blue Jays. After 6, it remains 1-0 in favor of Stanford. We're back after this. Welcome back to Sunken Diamond at Stanford. Ted Ramey alongside Troy Clarity here. The Cardinal leading 1-0, just coming off the bottom of the 6th with a stranded 2. Christian Lim, 94 pitches on the day. He struck out 11. And this first Pitch will be flared to short, and it'll be put out. And that first batter is down. And Lim just continues to roll. Did not look as comfortable in the top half of the sixth. And now we will have a meeting at the mound here for the Cardinal. And Lim now at the pitch count 95. Seems like that's going to bring about the end of his day, but well, maybe not. But now they are going to bring in a new pitcher here. But Lim, Troy, just absolutely phenomenal. 6 1/3 today, 3 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. Struck his way out of the big jam in the top half of the first, and he'll get a well-deserved round of applause here from the fans at Stanford.
Yeah, and you like the learning points from Lim that you've seen throughout the course of the season. And really today, once he was able to get that curve over with regularity, once he was able to mix it up with the change as well and keep Creighton guessing, that really got him into a whole different gear that resulted in him setting down 12 straight batters at one point.
No, phenomenal. Now we have the new pitcher, number 18, Cassius Thomas, a sophomore, 6'2", 190 pounds, from Los Angeles. Previously went to Duke before transferring over to Stanford. He was there in 2023. He made 6 appearances for the Blue Devils with 1 start, working 5 1/3 innings with 11 strikeouts. Held opponents to a .222 average at the plate. And so now he will be tasked with being as good as Lim was, because the Cardinal on the offensive side of things have not been able to add on. But I like it. Give me the pitchers' duels any day of the week. This is good, entertaining stuff here. It's fun to watch these two teams go against each other and see which side can outduel the other.
Thomas threw 2 scoreless at Rice back on March the 3rd. Struggled a little bit this past weekend against USC. Pitched well in the first game of the series. Came back in the 3rd game and only retired 1 batter on the day. Got charged with 2 runs, 1 of them earned. He actually made the crucial throwing error that led to USC's go-ahead run late in that game, as the Trojans ended up winning that one by a final of 11-8. But can throw with velocity. He can get it to home plate quick, fast, and in a hurry. Where it exactly ends up, maybe still a bit of a mystery, so he's still trying to harness some things overall. But, man, if he's able to put it all together, and he has. We mentioned his performance against Rice a couple weeks ago. Then, man, he's going to be a super, super valuable arm coming out of the pen.
And we are getting ready to see the first pitch coming in here now from Thomas, facing Aligso. And that's going to be ball 1.
Of course, Stanford's bullpen a bit short-handed anyway. Ty Uber, Tommy O'Rourke, 2 veterans out of the pen, but neither of them available to pitch. They have injuries and probably not going to see them here this season. We'll see how that goes. But down Uber and down O'Rourke, also brought in the transfer Sam Garowal from Northwestern, and he got hurt right off the bat too.
2-0 in for a strike, 2-1.
So those are 3 crucial arms out of the pen. Garowal, a lefty that Stanford was down already coming into the season.
Swing and a miss from Aligso, the junior, who is from Omaha, Nebraska.
A good cutting fastball slicing away from Aligso from Thomas.
2-2. Count is full.
Lim with 95 pitches today. He had thrown 97 against Rice and USC. Those are still his previous season highs.
And that'll be lined into left center field. So Helixo slowly makes his way into second with a stand-up double. And now Creighton has offensive life here in the top half of the seventh with one down.
Good, solid contact by Helixo, getting his second base hit of this series.
Sherman at the plate, the 6'2 grad student. Batting .321 on the year. Struck out and grounded out earlier in this game. Stanford still leading 1-0 here. Top of the seventh. And that's skied to left. Going back is McDonald in front of the track. He'll make the catch. No tag from Helixo. 2 down. Some good contact, but the wind did not push it out. I was waiting to see what sort of a trajectory that ball was going to take. Seems to have died down for the moment. Not really seeing as much movement from the flags out there in center field as we were about 20 minutes ago.
Well, here's Mr. 10 RBI guy.
Yeah, North, the shortstop. 2 down. Runner at second. And Thomas gets the stringing strike one.
Well, if I'd driven in 10 runs in a collegiate level game, I'd probably, I don't know, put it on my business card or wear a chain around town with 10 RBI on it.
I like that more than the business card. Inside, 1-1.
Well, the business card for LinkedIn, the chain for other activities.
But we've seen it with a lot of teams. It started with Deebo Samuel with the 49ers.
Yeah.
The gloriously oversized chain. Just 10 RBI.
Yeah.
And then, an inscription of the date, the circumstances. It's outside. 2-1.
Imagine walking around town wearing something like that.
I mean, you'd get questions, and you'd get to, well, thank you for asking, let me tell you.
Probably get into a steakhouse or two as well. Oh, right this way, Mr. 10 RBI.
3-1. 10 Ribby Troy, as we call him around here. I think that would be the...
Ooh, I like that.
You got to think proactively. (3-1) And got him with the second strike looking.
Yeah,
I thought that was ball 4.
So
but
did North.
Full count. 2 down. Swing and a miss. Cassius Thomas keeps it a 1-0 lead for the Cardinal. We're headed to the bottom of the seventh. Back at Stanford, the Cardinals still holding on to a 1-0 lead here, bottom of the seventh. Malcolm Moore to the plate, leading off for the first time today. Ted Ramey alongside Troy Clarity here. This has been a fun game. A lot of really, really good pitching. We saw Daniel Hammond for Creighton do it in the previous bottom half of the inning against the Cardinal. And then we saw Cassius Thomas do it for Stanford. And in a 1-0 game, that is what is demanded, and that's what has been delivered. First pitch, ball 1.
Yeah, bottom of the sixth, Stanford with back-to-back singles to begin off Tommy Lamb, who was immediately lifted for Daniel Hammond, who retired the next 3 batters that he faced. Shut down the mini jam.
Inside, did not hit Moore. He was able to just pull away. That'll bring up a 2-0 count here.
So more 1 for 3 so far in the leadoff spot today. An experiment from David Esther.
And that'll be bounce foul. 2-1 the count.
Just trying to get that bat going. Maybe help Malcolm see some better pitches.
Batting 183. And didn't go around there, 3-1.
183, but again with the team high 5 home runs. So it's Malcolm has been productive when he's been able to get the bat on the ball. He also walked a lot too.
And that will be his 17th walk of the season, right on cue. And Stanford once again gets the early base runner, but only in the third inning were they able to translate that into a run. The only run scored in this game. Right now it's 1-0 with Hott at the plate.
Action continues in the Creighton bullpen. A left-handed pitcher is warming up.
Hammond readies, Moore at first. 1-0 Stanford, bottom 7. Shows bunt. Pulled back, ball 1.
And again, with our vantage point, with equipment in the way, we can tell you that there is a Blue Jay pitcher warming up. We just can't tell you who it is.
Once again with the bunt shown. Strike. 1-1. Hammond 12 1/3 innings pitched this year. Another shown bunt. Tipped foul. 1-2.
Yeah, Hammond got the win against UMass Lowell back on March 6th, throwing 2 scoreless and striking out 3 along the way that day. Now, entering today, he had thrown no more than 28 pitches in an outing. Right now, he's at 25. This will be 26 right here.
Bunts on 2 strikes. And out at first, but advances the runner. So the small ball on display. As Hott advances more, 1 down. And Stanford still looking to add on to that 1-0 lead they've been clinging to since the third. And more activity on the mound here for the Blue Jays. And that lefty we saw warming up, making their way to the mound. We'll have this pitching change in a moment. Again, bottom 7 at Stanford. The Cardinal leading 1-0. Bottom 7 here at Stanford. The Cardinal leading 1-0. Casey Trapp, the new pitcher for Creighton. The grad student, 5'10", 200-pound lefty. Last pitched on the 19th against South Dakota, earning the win. Got himself 2/3 of an innings pitched there. His high on the season is 1 1/3. And he sits in and readies himself against McDonald. First pitch in for strike 1.
How many lefties who can throw the ball with funky movement does Creighton have? Looks like here's another one.
That was an odd-looking pitch. 0-2.
I mean, with break in either direction, this is something to see.
Moore at second for Stanford. As this is fouled back over our heads. 0-2 it remains. McDonald 1 of 2 for this game with a walk in the first. And he'll roll that to third. Moore going nowhere. The throw to first. 2 down. And Sherman made the nice play. Jimmy Nadai, the Australian, the Sydney native, at the plate now for the Cardinal. Responsible for the game's lone run batted in. He did that off a single in the bottom of the third, and this has remained the same. And now we'll go, looks like a righty coming in this time for Creighton. And it is going to be Malachi Vatak. And so they are intent on using the full arsenal of their bullpen. But we've said it many times, this is the pitcher's battle, a 1-0 game, picking up where last night's 3-2 battle continued. Malachi, a 6'1 junior from Elkhorn, Nebraska. A righty, like I said, 205 pounds. In 2023, he appeared in 17 games, all out of the pen. Closed the season with a 4-0 record and a 5.23 ERA over 31 innings. As we take a look for his high on the season, did pitch 4 1/3. Last pitched against the Dons on the 16th of this month, which a week ago was still this month, as we established earlier. And that was when he did have that high of 4 1/3. But he's given up 11 runs this year, all of them earned, 17 strikeouts, 17 walks. He's only given up 1 home run. But again, the job for the Cardinal here with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th is figure out a way to move Moore over to third and then 1 more after that from third to home. But that has just been the issue for the Cardinal all day. They've stranded runners. They've not been able to expand upon that 1-0 lead, and that is going to continue to be the narrative up to this point. We will see if this pitcher, Malachi Vatak, is the one that the Cardinal can find the breakthrough against. But ultimately, we have seen a large amount of really good, high-quality pitching today.
And really throughout this series. I mean, Creighton, a team that was averaging over 10 base hits per game coming into this series. They got 6 yesterday, only 4 so far today. Meanwhile, Stanford's still looking for the first extra base hit of this series. They've got 14 hits against Creighton so far this weekend, but all of them have been singles.
And Gabe Springer is in as the pinch hitter for Stanford, the sophomore from Boulder, Colorado. You guys can wrap restaurant recommendations later.
We might have the same ones.
Was part of this Pac-12 championship team from a year ago. And again, 2 on. Stanford looking to add on. First pitch in for a strike. It is Moore on second for the Cardinal.
Springer came on to pinch hit late in the game against USC on Sunday and hit one to the moon.
And strike 2 on the check swing. 0-2 count quickly on Springer. Batting .333 on the season. And that'll be in for a ball. 1-2.
Vatak kind of did a hop off the mound. Hess and North and Sherman were already headed off towards the Creighton dugout, but nope. Got to deal the 1-2.
Vatak comes, and going around was Springer. Struck him out Once again, the Cardinal leave a man on. After 7 innings, Stanford 1, Creighton 0. We're back after this. Back at Stanford, the Cardinal leading the Blue Jays 1-0. Now, here's Troy Clarity.
Only 11 base hits combined for both squads, with just 1 run coming across. 4 base hits for Creighton, 7 for Stanford. As we head to the top of the 8th inning, bottom of the order for the Blue Jays, beginning with Kyle Hess, who has struck out swinging in both of his appearances so far today. Cassius Thomas onto the bullpen for the Cardinal. Fires a fastball beyond Malcolm Moore for ball 1. Thomas replacing Christian Lim in the top half of the 7th. Lim going 6 1/3. 3 hits, shutout ball, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. And Thomas immediately gave up a double to Hogan Heligso, but battled back, induced a flyout, and then struck out Ben North swinging to end the mini threat for Creighton. But now he's down in the count 2-0 to Hess.
Hess struck out in both his previous plate appearances in this game.
2 balls, no strikes. And that one catches the outside corner. It's 2-1. Wind picking up once again, maybe swirling, maybe in from left now. The 2-1. Good fastball. Catches the inside corner. 2-2. Cassius Thomas from Sierra Canyon High School down in L.A. I believe that's more outward Chatsworth way, I believe. 2-2. Clapped loudly on one hop to Cobb, who throws over the first in time for the out.
Casual D, and Thomas looking casual in his delivery. It was really just that first little bit when he came in. Didn't look like he was maybe fully engaged, but since then he's been very, very effective. So we haven't seen quite as many Cardinal pitchers as we have from the Blue Jays.
Yeah, 6-2 in that category. Back to the top of the order we go for Creighton. Tate Gillen looking for his first base hit of the day. Instead he looks at the first pitch strike from Thomas. Gillen 0 for 2 is checked out 0 for 3. He has struck out looking twice. No balls and 1 strike. Fastball up high, 1-1 to Gillen. Had a big season opener at Coppin State. 3 for 3 with 4 driven in. Had a 2-run home run and an RBI triple along the way. And again, they won that game 24-0. Everybody had a big day against Coppin State. 1-1. Inside corner called. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Thomas is starting to find the corners here a bit.
I will say throughout the day, the strike zone has appeared consistent, which I'm sure all those involved appreciate.
Corners and high. The 1-2. That one too high. 2-2 from Cassius Thomas, Sierra Canyon High School. Some basketball players of note, I think, have come out of that program.
It's a region that seems to produce 1 or 2.
Yeah. Bronny James, of course, getting top billing there of late. 2-2. Swing and a foul. That's strike 3.
Well, Thomas just looking better and better seemingly with each passing batter and pitch. I look at a couple pitches before when he went up high, it seemingly set that up nicely. He looks comfortable.
Brings up Teddy Dieters. Fastball just misses outside, maybe a bit low as well. Dieters with a triple in the first inning, a ball that just glanced off of Brady Reynolds' glove in right field, and Dieters was able to turn that into a triple, but he was stranded there with one out. Creighton actually had the bases loaded in that frame with one out. Didn't score. So one of the, arguably the biggest sequence of this game to this point is Thomas deals a fastball for strike one. Stanford with the lone run of the game in the third. The 1-1. A little bit high, 2-1.
And the other big sequence behind that bases loaded situation with Dieters on third would be Stanford hitting into the ground, the double play in the third after they had already scored the one run, which kept them from adding more, and that's been the score since.
That's high, the count 3-1. Huge gap between short and second. The 3-1. Fouled off. Count full. Dieters was a transfer from Xavier. Now facing the full count. The pitch from Thomas. Fastball just missed, down low. Third walk issued by Stanford pitchers today, the first since the first inning. And now Creighton with their best bat coming to the plate. And a chance with the go-ahead run now coming to the plate to turn this game around. And realizing that, Thomas Yeager comes out of the Stanford dugout, makes the point over to the Cardinal bullpen. Cassius Thomas hands him the ball, and the new pitcher for Stanford is forthcoming. We'll tell you about him in just a moment. Stanford up 1-0, top of the eighth, but Creighton threatening. Torrin O'Haron, the new Cardinal pitcher, as he comes on in a 1-0 situation with two out in the top of the eighth inning, and the Blue Jays with a runner at first. O'Haron, a sophomore from Rockland, California, got a 3-out save and struck out 2 up in Seattle against the Washington Huskies back on March the 9th. O'Haron's numbers overall this year have been terrific, making his 9th appearance of the season right now, an 0-1 record and an ERA of 1.74. Does have 4 saves to his credit, 10 in the third innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 14 strikeouts versus 9 walks. Opposing batters hitting 167 against O'Haron. O'Haron did get charged with the loss last week against USC in the series finale. First batter he faces is Nolan Sailors, who has been terrific all weekend long. He fouls the first pitch he sees from O'Haron back to the screen, 0-1. Sailors walked in the first, struck out in the third, singled in the sixth, but was later caught stealing. First time he's been caught stealing all year, so now he's 10 of 11 in that department. The 0-1. Curveball popped up. Coming in, McDonald. Settles under it, makes the catch, and the half inning is over. Blue Jays get one on, but they leave him stranded at first. Card would love to add on to their 1-0 lead in the bottom of the eighth. Stanford hanging on to a 1-0 lead as we begin the bottom of the 8th inning. Cardinal trying to add on to it here with Brady Reynolds coming to the plate for the Cardinal. Brady batting 6th for Stanford in their order. Singled his last time up. Part of a sequence in which Stanford began the bottom of the 6th inning with back-to-back leadoff singles. They appeared poised to perhaps break open the game. But then Daniel Hammond came on to replace Tommy Lamb, after Lamb gave up those back-to-back singles to begin the 6th inning, and Hammond shut it down, retiring 3 straight batters to end the mini threat. Reynolds facing the 1-0. Fastball inside, 2-0. Malachi Vitak, the pitcher, got the win against Air Force Academy back on March 1st. Struck out 5 in 2 innings of work. The 2-0. That one misses somewhere, 2-1. Check the 3-0. That's called a strike. It goes to 3-1. It's gone final up in Eugene, Arizona, hammering the Ducks, 15-4 the final. This one is hit on a hop that gets away, and now throw to first, gets away from McLean as Hess couldn't handle it. 2 errors on the play, and Reynolds is safe at second.
Yeah, that's a situation where you've got to be more aware of, instead of trying to make the play, limit the damage. And that is the exact opposite of what Hess did on the play. I understand he's a great athlete. He feels he can make the play, but in a situation where you are trailing by a run in the later stages of a game like this, you've got to hold on to that ball. You got to swallow it.
Saborn Campbell has come in to pinch run for Reynolds. Campbell, a junior from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. If you saw him in the regionals last year here at Sunken Diamond, you know full well what he can do on the base paths. Timo Becerra looking for his first base hit today, trying to extend a 6-game hit streak. And he just might hear that one is hit to left field, but on the run, Sailors makes the grab. Boy, I thought that might drop when it came off the bat, but it hung up just a little bit and gave Sailors enough time to range over and make the catch. 1 away.
Well, Stanford still has the runner at second, but this has been a bit of a deja vu theme all afternoon for both teams, but particularly the Cardinal not being able to add on.
Yeah, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes sometimes. Haskins swings through the breaking ball, strike 1. Haskins legged out an infield single in the 4th. That one misses somewhere, 1-1. Other scores around the Pac-12. Utah leading Cal 5-2 in the top of the 8th over in Berkeley. And the Beavers shut out the Huskies 10-0 in Corvallis. 1-1. As Vitak spins back. That's a sneaky good baseball rivalry, Oregon State versus Washington. One and one. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball, 1-2. Of course, I always say, Goss Stadium in Corvallis is a great place to watch a game, unless you're representing the road team somehow. The 1-2. Breaking ball slider just slid just out of the zone.
I will tell you that fans in the Pacific Northwest don't get the credit they deserve. They are very sneaky, some of the best fans in all of North America, and I would say global sports.
The 2-2 from Vitak. Haskins just fouls it off. Hard to argue. You got the 12th man for the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. You got Cougs versus everybody up in Pullman. Oregon rolls deep wherever they go. Beaver Nation. The 2-2. Got him. Foul tip into the glove, swing and a miss. And that was a well-pitched sequence there by Vitok.
Yeah, we've seen the full gamut of what the Creighton pen has to offer throughout this game. And it just continues to impress one pitcher after another. Although Cobb would like to change that dynamic just a little bit more in favor of the Cardinal.
Cobb 0 for 2, walked in the fourth. Saborn Campbell pinch running at second for Brady Reynolds, who reached on 2 errors on the same play by Creighton shortstop Kyle Hess. Swing and miss. That's been Vitok's best pitch.
Well, it's got the timing a little bit off for the Stanford batters. He's probably going to come back to it. Can they use that to their advantage?
Drops down a bunt. Up with it. And throwing over to first in time for the out. Hogan Helixo on the spot. And an insurance run is left stranded at second. 8 innings in the books. Comes down to this. 1-0 Stanford. Top of the 9th, straight ahead. It's the 4, 5, 6 batters due up for Creighton here in a 1-0 game. Stanford trying to even up a series and get back in the win column. Great to have you with us, Troy Clarity and Ted Ramey, hanging out with you on what's been a pleasant Sunday afternoon. It'll be even more pleasant for Stanford fans if they're able to get the win here today. Torin O'Haron trying for his 5th save of the year. It begins with Colby Canales, who struck out twice, walked in the first. O'Haron deals high and tight for ball 1. Canales hit 2 home runs against Army on March 3rd. In the right field, that gets down for a base hit.
Immediate pressure to start off the top half of the 9th here. Proving very true the old saying, the final 3 outs are often the hardest. Certainly not starting off very easy in this top half of the 9th.
O'Haron had recorded 4 consecutive saves until he got charged with the loss last week against USC. Jack Terosian into pinch run for Canales at first. Terosian came out as a defensive replacement yesterday. He's a redshirt junior, originally from Omaha. Will McLean, the batter. McLean struck out in the first, flew out in the 4th, popped out in the 7th. O'Haron from the stretch. McLean shows bunt, pulls back as that pitch rode in on him. Baseball was not Will McLean's first choice. He actually preferred hockey and football in high school. He almost went to Brown to play football, but then UMass saw him. As that one goes over for a called strike 1. UMass saw him during what was going to be his last season of summer ball. Their coach at the time was watching him play online. He said, "Hey, I like this kid." And the rest is history.
It's a good way to end up at Stanford.
1-1. That one is on the inside corner, 1-2. So McLean went to UMass to begin his collegiate career. Now he's at Creighton. A 1-2. Well outside, 2-2.
No, O'Haron being patient here.
The 2-2 pitch. Now the count full. Tying run already on the base paths. with no outs. Runner going, and that's ball 4. So now the go-ahead run is on the base paths. Thomas Eager making a slow walk out to the mound. There is no action in the Stanford bullpen, so it's O'Haron's show right now.
No, we're getting shades of what we saw to start off this game, with a bases loaded jam in the first, which we did see Christian Lim work his way out of, but right now, no outs. Top of the ninth, like you said, the winning run is on base now. So things heating up here. But ultimately, like we talked about when we started this game, these situations have to be learned by all these Stanford players in here with this much turnover.
Yep.
These are the things that pay dividends in the future.
Yep.
They'd like to see it pay off in the here and now.
Helixo, the batter. 1 for 3 today, doubled in the 7th, but was left stranded there after Cassius Thomas was able to wiggle his way out of it. 2 on, no outs in a 1-run game. Helixo shows bunt, and that almost cleared the screen. Jimmy Nadai at first started a couple steps ahead of the bag. It looks like he's going to line up there again. Timo Becerra also just on the grass in the infield ahead of the bag at third. Bunt shown again. Doesn't go for it. 1-1.
Well, the tension is definitely ratcheted up in this stadium in the last 3 minutes. It was fun before, now it's tense.
Hit to left, going over, and beyond McDonald's reach. Rounding third. The throw home, not in time. Creighton ties it.
Well, you could feel that one coming. And I'll also point out a good play by Moore to keep that ball in front of him, because if that gets past, that could have easily turned into a second run on that play and a lead for Creighton. But you're still looking at a situation where there are none out, runners at second and third. And Creighton now has pulled momentum entirely in their favor, even if it is still a tie game.
So Hogan's a hero for Creighton. Brings up Matt Sherman. He's 0 for 3. And now the chance to take their first lead of this game. Too high. Ball 1. Still no action in the Stanford pen.
Well, that first pitch will make Sherman a little bit less comfortable than he was when he first stood in.
Entire Stanford infield playing in as O'Haron floats one over the zone, 1-1. McLean at third. Helixo at second. The 1-1. Fouled back.
Back ahead in the count is where he needs to be. Gives him a little bit more liberty, a little bit more freedom with where he goes now.
Just a little bit high. 2-2.
It's a good pitch, though. Good take by Sherman.
Actually, I think Torrin O'Hara may have asked Daryl Mason, the home plate umpire, where that might have missed, and Mason just kind of pushed his right arm out as if to say it might have been a little bit outside. The 2-2. Cranked foul. Go-ahead run 90 feet away. popped up, trying to find it. Nat-Eye, does he hang on to it? Yes, he does. But in the meantime, McLean comes across and scores. And Creighton leads 2-1.
A great acrobatic catch. But now do we have an injury that's come as a result of it?
Yeah, Cobb is up. I believe it's Nat-Eye who is still now finally getting up to his feet, as Cobb and Nat-Eye did both collide right in the front of the Stanford bullpen. Everyone's okay, so that's long-term. That's the good thing. But just unfortunate that, the effort that Nat-Eye gives on that play, but still the heads-up base running by McLean, allowing Creighton to come across with the go-ahead run and take the lead for the first time today. It's 2-1.
Well, yesterday's narrative of all the runs coming early on has been changed in this one, as it looked like we may have seen the same with Stanford getting their lone run in the third. But with a 2-spot here in the top of the ninth for Creighton, that narrative has changed. But we are looking potentially at another one-run game when all is said and done.
Ben North, the batter. North so far today, 1 for 3 with a double back in the second inning. Thought about it, and he went around. Well, the real shame is that this takes Christian Lim out of line for a win. The 0-1. Hit to right field. Campbell makes the catch. Tagging up. Heligso. And he scores. 3-1 Blue Jays.
Well, Creighton had been denied all day long, finally found a timely opportunity in which they could get their offense going here. Not that it nullifies any of the nice pitching that we saw before from Stanford, but you did feel like if Creighton was allowed to continue threatening, they would be able to find the breakthrough, and then it finally came at the most opportune time.
Kyle Hess fouls off the first pitch that he sees. Hess 0 for 3 so far today. Hess standing back in. O'Haron deals. Loud clap for a ball that only goes about 2 feet. And then rolls backwards. Hess down in the count 0-2. Back up the middle. And the party continues for the Blue Jays. Lineup turns over. Hess on board with his first base hit of the series. Third hit of the inning for the Blue Jays. Tate Gillen 0 for 4, has struck out 3 times. Runner going inside, and that actually hit Daryl Mason, the umpire. Plays continuing, and heading all the way over to third is Hess.
And heads up play there by Hess.
And called time.
And Daryl Mason a little shaken up after that one.
Yeah, the pitch hit him.
Yeah. I'm not sure I think it hit him right in the bicep. It looks like he's kind of looking at his arm right now.
Forearm, I think.
Yeah.
And the Creighton trainer and remember the Stanford training staff, they're both going to go out and check on Mason. Meanwhile, in that exchange, as Moore had to scramble to go get the ball, Hess advancing all the way over to third as he is awarded second on the stolen base. Mason's okay. At least okay enough to go.
Nice round of applause here from fans.
So a 1-0 count. Stanford throwing back over to second, tagging the bag just in case Hess missed it on his way, rounding over to third. One ball, no strikes. With Gillen at the plate. And now it's 1-1. Two and one.
Yeah, it seems like Torin O'Haron's confidence might be a little bit rattled at this point. He's had a little bit less control than what he initially showed.
Fastball low and away, gets Tate swinging. 2-2 to Gillen. So officially, Hess awarded second on a stolen base and awarded third on the wild pitch. And Gillen will face a full count pitch in a moment. The 3-2. Blocked by Moore. That's ball four. And Gillen extends the inning. There is action in the Stanford pen now. It's a right-handed hurler that we might see as Thomas Eager is making the walk out to the mound.
Yeah, you could see that one coming, and you feel bad because it did feel like Creighton was going to do that at some point in this game, and again, it just happened to happen in this top half of the ninth.
So the fourth different pitcher coming on for the Cardinal. We'll tell you about him in just a moment. Blue Jays have scored 3 so far here in the top of the ninth to take a 3-1 lead. Cardinal entered the top of the ninth clinging to a 1-0 lead. Stanford losing its grip on that lead. And Creighton now ahead 3-1. And Stanford now turning to Ben Reimers, freshman out of Aliso Viejo, California, to try to keep it a 3-1 game. Reimers about to make his 8th appearance of the season. A 1-1 record, an ERA of 7.82. 12 2/3 innings pitched, 14 hits, 11 runs, all earned. 9 walks, 12 strikeouts. Opposing batters hitting .286 off of Reimers. 2 outs, top ninth. Runners at the corners for Teddy Dieters. Dieters walked in the 8th, tripled in the 1st. And looks at the first pitch go down low from Reimers. A leadoff single from Colby Canales started all of this, followed by a walk to Will McLean. Then Hogan Heligso delivering an RBI double to tie the game at 1 apiece.
In case you're wondering, Reimers is the son of Tom Reimers, who played right here at Stanford from 94 to 96.
Yep.
Helped the Cardinal win a conference title in 94, a trip to the College World Series in 1995. Eventually drafted by the Chicago White Sox in the 15th round of the 96 June amateur draft for Major League Baseball.
Saw Tom pitch here during both of our respective undergraduate days, a time or two. Dieter's ready, so is Reimers. 1-0. Blocked well by Moore. Count goes to 1-1. After Creighton tied it at 1 apiece on the RBI double by Hogan Hellick, so Matt Sherman sent one into foul territory. Nada had a long way to go to get it, and he got there. He made the catch, but it allowed Will McLean to score from third. And that one is in there for a called strike 2. That put Creighton in the lead, then a sac fly RBI by Ben North, accounting for all 3 of Creighton's runs so far in this frame. They're looking for more. Hit high to center field. Hot, back, track, reaches up and collides with the wall. Can't make the catch. That'll clear the bases. Teddy Dieters with a 2-run triple, and the Blue Jays have broken it open.
Yeah, that was a hard collision with the wall out there in center field. Immediately you saw McDonald running over to see if Hot was all right, and it looks like he's probably feeling that in the ribs area, but looks like he is okay, even though the trainers are going to come out and take a look. You can hear that from here.
Yep.
Great effort.
Second triple of the day for Teddy Dieters. This one doing big damage, as this game has spun out of control against Stanford. Blue Jays plate in 5 so far here in the top of the 9th. And look, game's not over. Bottom of the 9th. We'll see what happens with Stanford when we get there. But with Creighton coming into this series at 15-3, and we told you, yeah, they haven't exactly faced top-level competition to this point, and how that might kind of skew some of their offensive numbers a little bit. But it beats the alternative. It certainly beats, if you're looking at things from the Creighton perspective, not putting up big numbers against that competition. They did. But certainly they looked at this series as a prove-it series. Maybe not this, and maybe to some extent to themselves, but certainly to maybe other folks who might be watching all throughout the country. A squad from the Big East picked to finish 4th in the conference, tied for 4th in the conference this year. It looks like Hot is okay to stay out there in center field.
Good news for sure.
But coming out to the West Coast, playing against Stanford, a team that has won back-to-back Pac-12 championships, that's been to Omaha 3 times in a row. You do big things as a program like Creighton against a program like Stanford. That certainly raises some eyebrows in a positive way for the program. So certainly there was a lot on the plate for Creighton,
especially
on the plate and heading this way.
The first time they've ever faced Stanford,
yep,
which always makes it that much more impactful for them. As like you said, they are in that prove-it mode.
Nolan Sailors will try to extend the inning and even more. Looks at ball 1. Sailors walked in the first, singled in the 6th, but was caught stealing. 9th batter for Creighton in this frame, the 1-0. Just rolls it to third. Becerra charges, and the throw bounces to Nadai. Dieter scores. Sailors heads to second, and it's all come apart at the seams for the Cardinal.
I believe I alluded to the fact that these 3 outs were going to be very hard to get, and it seems like they've been sitting on 2 outs for over an hour, even if it hasn't been that long. But I think it feels that way in the minds of all the Stanford players out there in the field right now. It just seems like this is the impossible out for them to get.
Blue Jays have batted around. So that pitch is high for ball one to Jack Tarosian, who picks up a bat for the first time in this one. There was also an error charged on that last play as well. Breaking ball inside for ball one to Tarosian, who came on as a pinch runner for Colby Canales and came around to score the game-tying run. Tarosian hitting .222 with no home runs and 1 RBI so far this season. The 2-0 from Reimers. Hit to center, hot on his horse. It's over his head. Sailor scores. Tarosian with an RBI double. 7-1 Creighton.
And again, they batted around and now then some. And this game was 1-0 when we entered the top half of the inning. And now that doesn't even resemble the game that we just spent 8 innings watching.
Not even close. Will McLean walked and scored the go-ahead run earlier in the ninth. Creighton still not done. 2 outs with a man at second. That's hit to Campbell. Drops in front of him. Tarosian scores. And right now, Creighton can do no wrong.
No, and you felt that even if Creighton was going to get the go-ahead run at some point in this game, it was still going to finish in a 2-1 type affair. Did not see this coming up with an 8-1 score line and counting. It's like I said, it feels like we've been sitting on 2 outs, and they just keep on turning the wheel.
Well, since there were 2 outs, single, walk, triple, single, double, single.
That'll do it.
Popped up. Moore makes the grab, reaches out just shy of the track, and mercifully, this half inning is over. But Creighton striking with 8 big runs, putting Stanford in a 7-run hole, bottom of the ninth, in just a moment. Bottom of the ninth. Cardinal down 8-1, starting at the top of the order. Malcolm Moore, who's been in the leadoff spot for this afternoon. Moore singled in the first, walked in the second, so he's 1 for 3 overall today. Malachi Vitak suddenly in line for a win. Vitak deals a fastball down low for ball one. Well, if you stepped away from us for about 45 minutes ago, do not adjust your monitor. Yeah, that's the score. Was 1-0 for quite a while, but then the Blue Jays erupting for 8 in the top of the ninth. Two balls, no strikes. Do not adjust your monitor or your phone or your tablet. Heck, you might be casting this to your TV, so don't adjust this to your set either. Don't adjust your set. 3-0. Moore takes strike one.
Now, Moore singled in the first, had the walk in the seventh, but had the 2 first pitch flyouts in the third and the fourth. What have you thought of him as a leadoff hitter today?
Too soon to tell. Obviously, getting the leadoff single helped out a lot, but here he swings and misses, and the count goes to 3-2. And again, I understand the reasoning entirely. You know, try to get him going a bit earlier, perhaps, as he's now facing the 3-2 pitch. Launched, way back, right field, back, track, wall, and gone. Malcolm Moore into the trees. A solo shot for the Cardinal as they try to dig their way out of the hole. It's 8-2. A Malcolm moonshot.
Yeah, that ball was absolutely crushed. He turned on it, and that had distance for days. Stanford gets a second run, cutting the deficit to 6 runs. But maybe it's a spark. You got to start it somewhere. You chip away at a big lead. See what the Cardinal can add on from here.
That's the old saying, you can't swallow an elephant whole. You have to take it one bite at a time. Of course, who would want to eat an elephant, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Charlie Somm, pinch hitting for Ethan Hott. Somm looks at the first pitch strike. 6th home run, by the way, for Malcolm Moore, extending his team lead in that category. Somm batting .200 with 2 home runs and 4 RBI. He came on to pinch hit yesterday and was not able to get on base. Swings through this one and is down quickly 0-2. Somm did hit a pinch hit home run against USC in the series finale last week. The 0-2. Slider tails well outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, in these situations, you can go down swinging all too easily as you're just trying to make anything happen. Staring at a 6-run deficit.
Clapped loudly on 1 hop to North. And the throw is wide. So Somm is on board. E6.
Yeah, not a great throw there from North. And so suddenly Stanford with a little bit of life once again. They get their 2nd run of the game off the moonshot from their catcher. And now suddenly they've got activity on the base paths once again. So it could be one of these days where all of a sudden it all comes at the end.
Yeah, that throw from North went south. Champ Hampton pinch hitting now for the Cardinal. Hampton, a freshman from Ooltewah, Tennessee. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You also see him on the football field for Stanford. Takes a mighty cut at this one. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Hampton just 1 for 3 on the season. And this is his first plate appearance since against San Jose State on February 26th. Fastball right down the middle. Hampton down quickly, 0-2. Champ played in 3 games for Stanford football in the fall, had 1 carry for 2 yards in the big game. The 0-2. Doesn't go for this one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And David Esker very excited about Champ. Calls him an explosive and rare combination of speed and power. Translation, I like this kid. Now it's all going to come together. We'll see what happens. The 1-2. Fly ball to right. Going back Dieters. And makes the catch just in front of the shadows in right field, 1 way.
Not enough space there for Somm to tag up, but again, just a little bit of life from the Cardinal here, which is what you want to see. It's hard to give up 8 runs in the top of the 9th. I know that's the most obvious statement ever. However, they are showing life at the plate. They're having good at-bats. They're making good contact. They're trying to make something happen, which, if you are the manager in this situation, you want to see.
Jake Sapien pinch hitting, the junior from Atwater, California, in Nat-Eye's spot. Sapien hitting .250 with no home runs and 3 RBI. Sends this one opposite field, but Dieters makes the reaching grab. Card down to their final out. Gabe Springer came on as a pinch hitter in the DH spot in the 7th inning, and he stays in that role. Springer struck out swinging to end the 7th. Stanford with chances. Left 2 on in the 6th. Left 2 on in the 7th. Left 1 on in the 8th. Those 5 stranded base runners when this was a 1-0 Stanford lead. Card had chances to extend this lead, get some crucial insurance runs, but could not quite get there. Oh, by the way, that home run by Malcolm Moore, Stanford's first extra base hit of this series. This one's hit to right. Dieters has a longer run to make, but he makes the grab, and that's your ball game. The Blue Jays batter the Cardinal to the tune of an 8-run 9th inning, and they beat Stanford this afternoon and take the first 2 games of this series. The final score, Creighton 8, Stanford 2. Blue Jays now 17-3 on the season, while Stanford falls to 9-11. Tough way to drop this one for Stanford as they had the lead. They took it in the bottom of the third, carried that lead in the top of the ninth inning, but then the Blue Jays found a way through and got an 8 spot in the top half of the ninth. And the tip of the cap to the Blue Jays, got big swings of the bat and come away with a hard-earned win for them.
It's just odd to see that scoreline because it does not feel indicative of the type of game we saw until that ninth inning in which the Cardinal pitching was phenomenal. Christian Lim with an absolutely dominant performance, had some trouble early on, but then settled in, got into a rhythm, got his pitch count up to 95. I'm sure that if you had asked him, he probably felt he could have kept on going and kept on absolutely dealing the way he was, and I don't think that should sully his day in the slightest. The Cardinal couldn't add on. You talked about the runners they left stranded, couldn't knock them in, couldn't build upon that one-run lead. If it's not a one-run game when you get to the top of the ninth, if they're up 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, is there as much potential wind at the sails when Creighton comes up to the plate? Do they have that much verve to get back into the game, for lack of a better term? And you also have a little bit of breathing room as well for anything that happens. Suddenly that game went from a 1-0 lead to you're down 2-1. Momentum flipped, and then Creighton was able to add on, and it just changed, like I said, the entire dynamic of the game. I did not see this heading to an 8-2 final in the slightest.
Yeah, and Creighton took the lead after beginning the ninth inning with a single by Colby Canales and then a walk by Will McLean, the RBI double by Hogan Helixo to tie it. So it was 1-1 at that point with McLean at third. Matt Sherman, the batter, pop fly into foul territory. Nadai at first base had a long way to go, and he got there, and he made the diving grab with his back to home plate to make the catch. It was a nice play by Nadai, but unfortunately it gave McLean the room to advance over from third. Creighton taking the lead from there and just blowing the doors off of Stanford after that as they found a way to score 6 more runs when it was all said and done. Malachi Vitak gets the win. His record goes up to 2-0 on the season after 4 straight saves for Taron O'Haron. O'Haron has now been charged with 2 consecutive losses. His record now falls to 0-2 on the season. Big days with the bats for Teddy Dieters with a couple of triples. His second triple of a 2-run variety in the ninth inning. A couple of doubles by Hogan Helixo. Meanwhile, Malcolm Moore with a solo home run in the 8th inning, the only extra base hit for Stanford here in this one. 8 runs, 11 hits, 3 errors for Creighton, 2 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Stanford Cardinal. Time of today's game, 3 hours and 16 minutes. So it sets the stage for tomorrow's series finale, in which Stanford will have to get up early. 11:05 a.m. first pitch here at Sunken Diamond, while Creighton, they have a chance to take a sweep with them back to the 402 area code.
Especially for the first time going up against the Cardinal here and really, like we said, making a statement, trying to build upon that record, which improves from 16-3 to 17-3 on the season. And a team that maybe people were sleeping on earlier is now having quite a campaign up to this point. And I think that they're probably going back home after this one or going back to the hotel tonight and saying, hey, we have a chance to do something here that's going to make people pay attention to us, which is going to do great things for our season as it continues. I'm sure that's going to be part of the narrative. They probably smell blood in the water and they want to go after it. And, you know, they got a hard-fought one last night, 3-2 in a close game. We thought we were headed for another one of those today before they blew it back open. They've got the win at their sails. And I'd like to see, obviously, you get a quick turnaround. You don't have to linger on this one from the viewpoint of the Cardinal, how they can respond to it, knowing that they had 2 games that they were in. This one obviously got a little bit away from them, but they probably feel like, hey, if we do what we did on Saturday and on Sunday, we're going to give ourselves a chance on Monday if we can just build upon the things we did offensively, because they did too little too late, unfortunately. They did get a second run, but by that point they were already 8 on the board for Creighton.
So Stanford will try to get a win in this series tomorrow, an 11:05 a.m. first pitch. Probables, Jack Pino for the Blue Jays and Nick Dugan for the Cardinal. We will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Not necessarily bright and early, but certainly early for us here. But we'll see you tomorrow from Sunken Diamond. On behalf of our terrific crew and my broadcast partner, Ted Ramey, I'm Troy Clarity. Thank you for joining us here again today. Once again, the final score, Creighton 8, Stanford 2. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Stanford.